This is the ANBERNIC RG300, just one of a plethora of Chinese handhelds. Rocking a 3-inch IPS display with a MIPS JZ4760B dual-core 600MHz CPU, 128MB of DDR2 RAM, 16GB of internal memory, which is an SD card under the battery, and an 1800 mAh battery. But is it worth the price, and is it any good for emulation? Let's find out. Before we start, if you enjoy video essays, lore, discussion, and theories about video games, plus the occasional unboxing and review, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel for a plethora of gaming-related content. So showing off the box, you can see that it talks about the super tempered glass, whatever that means. For the shoulder buttons, it uses an OMRON style button, and that it has a nice 3-inch IPS display. Turning it around, it just gives off some more of the specs of the system, claiming that with the 1800 mAh battery, you can use this for a consistent 6 hours, along with showing all of the systems this device supports for emulation: arcade, Game Boy Color, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, Super Nintendo, Sega, NES, GameGear, Megadrive and Genesis, plus many more. On top of that, if you didn't want to use it for emulation, you could put music or movies or even ebooks on here. So honestly, I think that's pretty neat. On the other side, it just gives a layout of the RG300, along with showing what all the buttons do. Turning it around again, we can see that on this side, it shows all the colors that this comes in. Although I don't think the blue transparent option is available anymore. But let's open this bad boy up. So here it is, the RG300. It comes in a little protective sleeve, and underneath the little tray it's sitting in is the rest of the items that come with the unit, including a USB-C to USB-A charging and data transfer cable, an AV cable so that you can use this with an external monitor if it has those types of ports, and also the place where the AV cable goes in serves as a place where you can put headphones. And then finally there's a user manual, complete with other language translations. The RG300 is a fairly light handheld, but it seems to be pretty sturdy. The A, B, X, Y buttons feel very nice, so does the start, select, and the two small buttons in the center. But in my opinion, the D-pad feels a little bit mushy. And I noticed that while navigating some of the menus, either the D-pad is too mushy or it's too sensitive, because when I would go to try to select something, it would often go either one up or one down from when I was trying to select. Going underneath, you can see the USB-C charging / data transfer input along with the AV headphone jack. The left hand side is where another micro SD card can go. And I know that the RG300 can support at least a 32GB micro SD card because that's the size card I put into my unit for my ROMs. Then finally, looking at the back, you can see the battery door and those OMRON shoulder buttons, which I think feel very nice and comfortable. You could definitely hold this for about 6 hours and not have your hands cramp up. Opening up the battery door shows the rechargeable 3.7 volt, 1800 mAh, 6.6 watt lithium ion battery. Try saying that 3 times fast. When you turn on the RG300, you can see that it has a nice bright IPS display. And for some reason right off the bat I had to change the language from Chinese to English. Going along with the display, there are 6 brightness settings that are controlled by the bottom middle button. I currently have it on a brightest setting, but I turn it down a little so that it's easier for you to see. After finally being able to change the language, I want to show you all the emulators that come pre-installed with this device. For instance, there's DOS, CPS, Neo Geo, Game Boy, even PlayStation. This device comes with a lot of emulators pre-installed. Now let's get on to the part I'm sure most of you want to see. How do games run on the RG300? A side note, I'm playing these games through my camera, so it's not the best gameplay, but it will show how the games run. On this particular SD card, I only had games for the NES through the GBA, so those will be the games that I'm testing. Also, back to the volume wheel. With this volume wheel, it's kind of difficult to get a good volume level. It's either 100 or nothing. I have the wheel all the way up, but I do change it throughout the gameplay demonstration. With this Game Boy / Game Boy Color emulator, I had to fiddle with some of the settings to get them both to be full screen, but eventually I was able to, and I think it looks pretty good. The game that I tested on the first Game Boy Advance emulator, GPSP, didn't work at all. But luckily there was another GBA emulator called REGBA, and it ran the game perfectly, so that's the emulator I use. While I didn't test every game that I have on my SD card in the video, after playing with this for a while, the RG300 does struggle with Super FX games, so keep that in mind. I'm sure that you'll be able to find another emulator to put on the RG300 so that it can play everything you throw at it. So back to the original questions. Is it good for emulation? I think so, yes. Everything I threw at it, but your mileage may vary, ran very well, except for the fact that I had to use another GBA emulator to run Golden Sun, but that can be easily fixed. Plus, that nice bright display makes these games pop on the screen. So I think it's very good for emulation. Going into the second question, which was, is it worth the price? I also think, yes, it is worth the price. I bought this particular unit from ANBERNIC's website for about $60, but after some searching, I found it $10 cheaper. And with everything that you can do and play on it, I think it's well worth the price. So I do recommend the RG300 if you want to play all of your retro games on the go. You could easily take this device on a long flight or a long road trip, or just lounging around your house. So if this looks like something that you would like to pick up, I'll leave a link in the description below to where you can find it. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please leave a like. If you didn't, that other button seems to work pretty well too. Also, if you enjoy video essays, lore, discussion, and theories about video games, plus the occasional unboxing and review, be sure to subscribe to my channel for a plethora of gaming related content. Thanks for watching.